The Ashen Key War, Part 2. Mayfair, 11:45 a.m. They moved quickly, slipping through the fog-drenched streets of Mayfair, where the air smelled of coal smoke and wealth. Their target? The home of Sir Reginald Westcott. A prominent politician. A man deeply entrenched in the Ashen Key Society. And the next name on the list. Ezra had been reluctant at first. "I truly detest politicians," he had muttered as they approached the grand estate. "They always have such poor taste in whiskey." Jonathan, adjusting his coat, muttered, "If Westcott is on the list, he's in danger." Graves smirked. "Then we'd best knock." Eleanor arched an eyebrow. "Knock? You mean break in?" Graves grinned. "Details, Miss Blackwood." The estate was alive with movement. Carriages lined the circular drive, their lanterns flickering as guests stepped out, aristocrats draped in silk, men with polished canes and sharp eyes. Inside, laughter and the clinking of glasses drifted through the open doors. Ezra, peering at the scene, muttered, "Ah. A dinner party. How tedious." Jonathan exhaled. "How do we blend in?" Graves smirked. "We don't." Eleanor frowned. "Then what's the plan?" Graves adjusted his gloves. "We crash the party." Inside, the grand ballroom was awash in golden light. Chandeliers hung like falling stars, their glow casting long shadows over marble floors and velvet-lined walls. Graves moved easily through the crowd, his confidence making it appear as if he belonged. Ezra, ever the consummate rogue, adjusted his cravat with a smirk. "I do love a masquerade of lies." Jonathan sighed. "Must everything be so dramatic?" Eleanor nudged him. "With Graves?" "Yes." Then, the host himself emerged. Sir Reginald Westcott was a broad-shouldered man, his grey beard meticulously trimmed, his blue eyes sharp. And he was not alone. Standing just behind him, a figure dressed in all black. A society enforcer. Graves stilled. Eleanor whispered, "They're already here." Ezra sighed. "Well, that's inconvenient." Graves smirked. "Not for us." Then, he stepped forward. "Sir Reginald." His voice carried smoothly over the room. The politician turned, his expression shifting from confusion to recognition. "Mr. Graves," he murmured. "You're supposed to be dead." Graves grinned. "Yes, well. I find that rumor greatly exaggerated." Westcott's gaze flicked to the enforcer at his side. The man stiffened. Eleanor reached subtly for her dagger. Ezra's hand drifted toward his concealed pistol. Jonathan muttered, "This is about to go horribly wrong." Then, Westcott exhaled sharply. And his next words changed everything. "You need to leave. Now." Graves tilted his head. "So you do know." Westcott's jaw clenched. "More than you think." Graves stepped closer. "Then tell me, who gave the order?" A silence. Then, Westcott whispered, "Not Thorne." Graves' eyes narrowed. "Then who?" Westcott hesitated. Then, under his breath, "The Crimson Lord." Ezra stilled. Jonathan swallowed. "That's impossible." Eleanor's grip on her dagger tightened. The Order of the Crimson Mask was more than just a faction. It was ancient. Powerful. And its leader had never been named. Until now. Graves exhaled. "Then we're already in the middle of a war." Westcott swallowed. "Graves. If you value your life." Then, a gunshot rang out. Glass shattered. Screams erupted. The enforcer lunged. Eleanor yanked her dagger free. Jonathan ducked. Ezra swore. And so it begins. Graves moved first. His revolver flashed. One shot, two. The enforcer collapsed. Westcott staggered back, gripping his shoulder where the bullet had grazed him. Graves grabbed him by the collar. "Tell me everything." Westcott's breath was ragged. His next words came barely above a whisper. "They're going after Parliament." A beat of silence. Jonathan muttered, "Oh. That's bad." Graves' grip tightened. "How soon?" Westcott's eyes were wild. "By the end of the week." Eleanor whispered, "Then we have 5 days." Graves exhaled. His smirk was sharp as a blade. "Then we'd best get started." Chapter 7, 5 Days to Anarchy. Mayfair, Westcott's estate, 12:10 p.m. The grand ballroom was in ruins. The air was thick with smoke, the shattered remnants of crystal chandeliers reflecting scattered afternoon light. Guests had fled, their abandoned champagne glasses still trembling on polished silver trays. Alistair Graves stood over Sir Reginald Westcott, his gloved grip still tight on the man's coat collar. The politician's face was pale, his eyes wide with a mixture of shock and terror. A fresh bullet wound bled through the fabric of his sleeve, a warning shot, not a killing one. Westcott's chest rose and fell rapidly. His mind was calculating, even in fear. "You don't understand," he gasped. "The society isn't just planning a coup." Graves' steel-gray eyes glinted coldly. "Oh, I understand perfectly." He pulled Westcott closer, his voice low and precise. "They're going after Parliament in 5 days." Jonathan Whitmore muttered behind him, which, I must say, is incredibly bad. Eleanor Blackwood, standing near the shattered window, kept her dagger raised, watching for more enforcers. Ezra Renwick adjusted his cravat. "Well," he murmured. "This does present a logistical challenge." Westcott swallowed. "Graves. You don't know what's coming." Graves tightened his grip. "Then tell me." Westcott hesitated. Then, he made a decision. His voice dropped to a whisper. "They've infiltrated the Security Council." A cold wave settled over the room. Eleanor's breath hitched. "That means..." Westcott nodded. "Every guard assigned to Parliament is already one of theirs." Jonathan swore. "Then the entire city is doomed." Graves' jaw tightened. 5 days. That's all they had. And their enemies were already inside. Ezra sighed, plucking a gold pocket watch from his coat and checking the time. "Much as I enjoy standing around and discussing impending doom, I believe we should relocate before Thorne sends more men." Eleanor nodded. "Agreed." She turned back to Westcott. "We need you to tell us everything, who the Crimson Lord is, how deep this goes." Westcott hesitated. Then, he exhaled sharply. "I can't." Jonathan groaned. "Oh, for God's sake," Westcott cut him off. "Not because I won't." His pale blue eyes flicked toward the destroyed ballroom doors. "Because if I talk, we're all dead before sunset." Silence. Ezra's amusement faded. "Ah. That's unfortunate." Graves studied Westcott carefully. "You know something valuable." Westcott's throat bobbed. "Yes." Graves tilted his head. "And you're afraid." Westcott exhaled slowly. "You should be, too." Ezra leaned forward. "I assume, dear Reginald, that you have leverage over the society?" Westcott licked his lips. "More than leverage." He glanced at Graves. "I have names." Jonathan muttered, "Why do I have a terrible feeling about this?" Westcott lowered his voice. "The society keeps dossiers, ledgers filled with blackmail, debt records, secret alliances. He hesitated. Graves' eyes narrowed. And? Westcott exhaled. There's a ledger that contains information on every corrupt official in London. If we get our hands on it, Eleanor whispered, we could expose them all. Ezra grinned. Oh, I do like the sound of that. Jonathan, however, was frowning. That's a very large if. Graves folded his arms. Where is it? Westcott hesitated. Then, it's kept in the Tower of Ravens. A cold silence settled over the room. Jonathan groaned. Of course it is. Eleanor's jaw tightened. Tell me you're joking. Westcott shook his head. I wish I were. Ezra sighed dramatically. Remind me, why does every dangerous relic in London always end up in that cursed place? Jonathan muttered, because the universe hates us. Graves' smirk returned. No, he murmured. Because that's the last place anyone would dare to break into. The Tower of Ravens was one of London's most secure locations. An old fortified stronghold, now serving as a private society treasury, housing stolen artifacts, secret records, and evidence no one was meant to see. And now, they had to break in. Westcott cleared his throat. You'll never get inside. Graves smirked. You underestimate me. Westcott shook his head. I don't. That's why I'm warning you. His voice lowered. The society expects you to try. Graves tilted his head. So? Westcott's gaze darkened. So they've set a trap. Jonathan groaned. Wonderful. A fortress filled with traps. Anything else we should know? Westcott hesitated. Then, he spoke. Thorne won't be there. Graves stilled. Meaning? Westcott exhaled. He's been summoned. Eleanor's brow furrowed. By who? Westcott hesitated. Then, he whispered. The Crimson Lord. A heavy silence. Ezra muttered, well. That's ominous. Jonathan sighed. It just keeps getting worse, doesn't it? Graves adjusted his coat. Always. Then, he turned to the group. We have 5 days to stop an assassination plot. He met Eleanor's gaze. We have 1 night to steal that ledger. Jonathan exhaled sharply. No pressure, then. Ezra grinned. Oh, I love a good heist. Graves smirked. Then let's get started. Chapter 8, The Tower of Ravens Heist. London, the Tower of Ravens, midnight a fortress of secrets. The Tower of Ravens loomed against the night sky, its dark stone walls rising like jagged fangs above the misty streets below. A relic of London's brutal past, it had once been a prison for traitors, thieves, and spies, men who had vanished behind its walls, never to be seen again. Now, it served a different purpose. The Ashen Key Society had transformed it into their private stronghold, a vault where they hoarded their greatest treasures and darkest secrets. And tonight, Alistair Graves and his crew were going to rob it. A rooftop overlooking the tower, 12:15 a.m. Graves crouched low on a weathered rooftop, his sharp eyes scanning the fortified perimeter below. Eleanor Blackwood knelt beside him, adjusting the buckles on her boots as she whispered, "Tell me again how this isn't a suicide mission." Jonathan Whitmore, huddled in his coat against the cold, muttered, "Oh, it absolutely is." Ezra Renwick, lounging against a chimney, grinned. "Then let's make it interesting." Graves smirked. "We have exactly 40 minutes before the night patrol changes shifts. That gives us a very small window." He pointed toward the eastern watchtower, where 2 guards stood, their rifles glinting in the gaslight. "There's an underground access tunnel beneath the foundation. It's a forgotten passage, used centuries ago when this place was still a prison. Eleanor raised an eyebrow. And you know where it is? Graves' smirk widened. Of course. Ezra adjusted his gloves. And if it's been sealed? Graves grinned. Then we make an entrance. Jonathan exhaled. Lovely. How very reassuring. The perimeter, 12:30 a.m. The team moved like shadows, slipping through fog-drenched alleyways until they reached the ancient foundation of the tower. The passageway entrance was exactly where Graves had predicted, half buried beneath moss-covered stones, hidden from plain sight. Eleanor knelt, brushing away centuries of dirt. Locked, she muttered. Of course. Ezra smirked, drawing a thin steel tool from his coat. Allow me. He slid the pick into the rusted lock, his fingers moving with practiced ease. A click. Then, the door creaked open. Jonathan sighed. This is already going horribly. Graves smirked. Then let's hurry before it gets worse. They slipped inside. Underground tunnels, beneath the tower, 12:40 a.m. The passageway was narrow and damp, its air thick with the scent of aged stone and stagnant water. Faint torchlight flickered ahead, illuminating a long hallway lined with iron-barred doors. Jonathan shuddered. I feel like we just walked into a graveyard. Eleanor murmured, that's because we did. These were prison cells, long abandoned, their wooden doors rotted through. Ezra muttered, charming. Graves pressed forward, leading them toward a heavily reinforced door at the end of the passage. He glanced at Eleanor. The ledger is inside. She pulled out a thin dagger. Then let's get it. Ezra moved to the vault's locking mechanism, tracing his fingers over the intricate gears and tumblers. This, he murmured, is far too complex for a standard pick. Jonathan crossed his arms. Then what do we do? Graves pulled a small, black leather case from his coat. Ezra's eyes widened. Oh, you bastard. Graves smirked. You know me. He flicked the case open, revealing a set of specialized lock-picking tools, one specifically designed for society-grade safes. Ezra let out a low whistle. You really don't trust anyone, do you? Graves chuckled. Never have, never will. Inside the vault, 12:55 a.m. the door creaked open. Inside, the vault was lined with shelves, each stacked with bound ledgers, coded documents, and blackmail files. Eleanor's breath hitched. This is everything. Jonathan exhaled. Then we take what we can and burn the rest. Graves moved swiftly, scanning the spines of the ledgers. Then, he found it. A black leather book, its pages stamped with the crimson sigil of the Order of the Crimson Mask. He lifted it carefully, flipping through its contents. Names. Dates. Bribes. And, a list of confirmed assassinations. Eleanor read over his shoulder. Dear God. Jonathan swallowed. How many? Graves' jaw tightened. More than we can count. Then, footsteps. Loud. Heavy. Approaching fast. Ezra swore. They knew we were coming. Tower interior, 1 a.m. The vault door slammed shut behind them. Graves spun, just as the first bullet ricocheted off the stone wall. Enforcers poured into the chamber, their black coats blending into the darkness. At the center of them, standing calmly, was a man Graves had not expected to see. Lucien Thorne. His golden monocle glinted in the dim light. Graves exhaled. Of course. Thorne smirked. Oh, Graves. Did you really think we wouldn't be prepared for you? Ezra muttered, I hate that he's always so smug. Eleanor tightened her grip on her dagger. Graves. We're trapped. Jonathan groaned. We're going to die in a prison vault. How poetic. Graves smirked. Not yet. He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a single vial of dark liquid. Thorne's eyes narrowed. What is that? Graves smirked. Insurance. Then, he smashed the vial against the stone floor. A thick cloud of black smoke erupted, swallowing the room in absolute darkness. Run! Graves shouted. The team scattered. Tower exit, 1:05 a.m. Graves burst into the open air, his lungs burning as he sprinted through the fog-drenched courtyard. Eleanor was just ahead, dragging Jonathan along, while Ezra fired 2 quick shots behind them, forcing the enforcers to take cover. Graves glanced back. Thorne was emerging from the smoke, furious. The man locked eyes with him. Then, he smiled. Graves' stomach twisted. Thorne wasn't chasing them. He was letting them go. Jonathan wheezed. Why aren't they following us? Graves exhaled sharply. Because we stole the ledger. Eleanor frowned. And that's bad. Graves' jaw tightened. No, his eyes darkened. That means they don't need it anymore. Jonathan paled. Oh. That's very bad. Ezra muttered, so what now? Graves took a breath. Now, he murmured, we figure out what we really just stole. Chapter 9, The Secrets of the Crimson Ledger. Renwick Safe House, Southwark, 2:30 a.m. The moment Alistair Graves, Eleanor Blackwood, Jonathan Whitmore, and Ezra Renwick slipped through the hidden entrance of Renwick Safe House, the heavy wooden door slammed shut behind them. Graves exhaled, rolling his shoulders. That could have gone worse. Jonathan, still breathless from their escape, scowled. We were trapped in a fortress, shot at, nearly caught by Thorne, and barely made it out alive. How exactly could it have gone worse? Graves smirked. You could have died. Jonathan groaned. I detest you. Eleanor, still gripping the stolen ledger, ignored them both. Instead, she moved quickly, shoving the chairs aside and clearing space on the safehouse's wooden table. We need to see what's inside. Graves stepped forward, pulling a small dagger from his coat. He slid the blade beneath the wax seal on the cover of the book. With a soft crack, the seal split. And the secrets inside were finally exposed. The ledger's pages were filled with coded entries, lists of names, locations, and financial transactions. Eleanor traced her fingers over the elegant, careful handwriting, her brows furrowing. This isn't just a financial record, she murmured. Jonathan peered over her shoulder. What is it? Graves turned a page. Then another. His sharp gaze skimmed the text, processing faster than he spoke. Then, he found it. A single list. At the very top of the page, written in bold ink, was the title, The 12 Names of the Final Night. Silence settled over the room. Eleanor whispered, What does that mean? Jonathan's voice was quiet. Final night of what? Graves' jaw tightened. This, he murmured, is the real assassination list. Jonathan exhaled sharply. Then who are the targets? Graves scanned the names. His pulse remained steady, but his stomach twisted. He began to read. 1. Lord Edwin Bellingham, Minister of Foreign Affairs. 2. Sir Reginald Westcott, Security Council. 3. Lady Margaret Ashford, Parliament. 4. Lord Benedict Stanton, Chief Justice. 5. Viscount James Atherton, Military Intelligence. 6. Baron Christopher Halstead, Industrial Trade. 7. Governor Henry St. Clair, East India Company. 8. Eleanor Blackwood, Shadow Network Informant. 9. Jonathan Whitmore, former royal surgeon. 10. Ezra Renwick, smuggler and underworld broker. 11. Alistair Graves, former Ashen Key executioner. 12. The final name, unknown. Eleanor's breath hitched. We're on it. Jonathan stared at the page, horrified. We are on a list with high-ranking officials and government leaders. Ezra smirked. I mean, I have always considered myself important. Jonathan glared at him. Eleanor's grip on the book tightened. Who's the 12th name? Graves frowned. It's left blank. Ezra's expression darkened. Which means the final name hasn't been decided yet. Jonathan muttered, or they don't need to write it down. Graves exhaled slowly. The Ashen Key Society and the Order of the Crimson Mask weren't just planning assassinations. They were planning a purge. A single night of bloodshed, to wipe out every obstacle in their way. And they had 5 days left to stop it. Eleanor turned more pages. These are detailed instructions. Graves leaned over the table, scanning the text. These aren't random assassinations, he murmured. They're orchestrating a political collapse. Jonathan exhaled. If they remove all of these figures at once, there will be chaos. Ezra arched an eyebrow. And who do we think will step in once that chaos unfolds? Eleanor whispered, the society. Graves nodded. They don't just want power. They want control of the entire city. Jonathan ran a hand through his hair. And they'll make sure Parliament, the military, and the courts are all under their rule. Ezra sat back. Which means we have to do more than stop them. Eleanor met his gaze. We have to expose them. Graves tapped his fingers against the ledger. Precisely. But that left one problem. How? Ezra poured himself a drink. Now, I do love a dramatic reveal, but do we have actual proof? Jonathan waved a hand at the ledger. This is proof. Ezra smirked. Is it? Jonathan frowned. What are you implying? Ezra sipped his brandy. I'm saying that a secret criminal empire is unlikely to write down clear evidence of treason in a book, Doctor. Eleanor's brow furrowed. He's right. She turned back to the text. These are coded instructions. Names, locations, orders, but there's no direct confession. Graves exhaled. Which meant they needed something stronger. Something that would force the society's own leaders to reveal their intentions. And he knew exactly where to find it. Graves turned a page. Then, he found it. A single line of text, buried between financial records. Eleanor leaned closer. What is it? Graves read aloud. Final gathering of the Ashen Key, March 5th. Location secured. The Master will oversee the rite of blood. Jonathan's stomach sank. That's tomorrow night. Ezra whistled. And I assume we aren't invited? Graves smirked. Not yet. Eleanor frowned. Where is it? Graves turned the page. Then, he saw the answer. His smirk faded. Jonathan's eyes widened. Oh no. Ezra's grin disappeared. Oh, that's unfortunate. Eleanor whispered, where is it, Graves? Graves exhaled. Then, quietly, he said it. The gathering is at Ravenscourt Manor. A cold silence filled the room. Ezra leaned back. Well. That is a problem. Jonathan groaned. Would someone please tell me why? Graves' voice was calm. Because Ravenscourt Manor isn't just a meeting place. His eyes darkened. It's a fortress. Jonathan paled. You mean, Graves nodded. Yes. It's the Ashen Key Society's headquarters. Eleanor exhaled sharply. Then we have no choice. Graves tilted his head. Do we? She held his gaze. We have to get inside. Ezra smirked. Oh, this is going to be delightful. Jonathan muttered, this is going to be a disaster. Graves took a breath. Then, he smiled. Then let's crash their party. Chapter 10, Infiltrating Ravenscourt Manor. London, the outskirts of Ravenscourt Manor, March 5, 10:45 p.m. A storm was brewing over London. Dark clouds rolled across the night sky, blotting out the moon, while a sharp wind cut through the trees surrounding Ravenscourt Manor. The estate loomed ahead, a massive, Gothic mansion, its iron gates locked and its stone walls towering over the shadowed grounds. But the real danger wasn't its ominous presence. It was the fact that inside, the Ashen Key Society was gathering. And Alistair Graves, Eleanor Blackwood, Jonathan Whitmore, and Ezra Renwick were about to walk straight into it at a hidden ridge overlooking the estate, 10:50 p.m. The four of them crouched low, hidden in the thick underbrush, their eyes locked on the grand manor below. Torches lined the entrance, flickering against the wind. Dozens of black-cloaked figures moved past the gates, disappearing into the vast halls of the Society's headquarters. Jonathan let out a slow breath. I still maintain this is a terrible idea. Ezra smirked. Oh, Doctor. It's only terrible if we fail. Jonathan glared. That is not comforting. Eleanor ignored them both. Are you sure about this, Graves? Graves' steel-gray eyes remained fixed on the estate. There's no other way, he murmured. Inside those walls, the highest-ranking members of the Society were gathering. Including, most likely, the Crimson Lord himself. If they could listen in on the meeting, if they could learn who the final target was, they might still have a chance to stop the assassinations. Jonathan adjusted his coat. So, how exactly do we get inside without being seen? Graves smirked. That, he said, is where our friend comes in. A rustle in the bushes behind them made Jonathan flinch. A dark figure emerged from the shadows, hood drawn, face half obscured in the dim light. Jonathan nearly reached for his pistol, until Graves raised a hand. Easy, Doctor. The figure stepped forward. Then, they removed their hood. A woman, tall, dressed in deep crimson silk, her dark hair woven into an intricate braid. Her eyes gleamed with sharp intelligence. Eleanor stiffened. You didn't tell me she was involved. Graves' smirk remained. I like surprises. Jonathan squinted. Who is she? Ezra exhaled. Doctor, meet Celine Vale. Jonathan frowned. Should I know that name? Eleanor muttered, you should. Then, softly, she added, she's Corwin Vale's sister. A heavy silence. Jonathan's stomach turned. Vale, the man they had left for dead. The man Graves had betrayed. Celine's eyes flicked to Graves. You look well. Graves smirked. Better than your brother, I imagine. Celine's expression did not change. For a moment, Jonathan thought she might kill Graves right then and there. But instead, she smiled. A slow, sharp smile. I should hate you, she murmured. And perhaps, one day, I will. She stepped closer. But for now, we have mutual enemies. Ezra chuckled. Ah, alliances born from hatred. Always so delightful. Jonathan sighed. So, she's helping us why, exactly? Celine's eyes gleamed. Because my brother was a fool. Her voice was cold, unreadable. But even a fool knew when he was being used. She turned back to Graves. And make no mistake, you were being used too. Graves tilted his head. By who? Celine's lips curved. By the Crimson Lord. The gates of Ravenscourt Manor, 11:15 p.m. Graves and his team stood just beyond the grand iron gates. Celine, now fully draped in society robes, led the way. Eleanor adjusted the hood of her stolen cloak. "I still don't like this." Jonathan muttered, "For once, I agree." Graves smirked. "Then let's hope our disguises hold." The plan was simple. Celine would escort them inside, posing as a society dignitary. They would slip into the gathering hall, hide among the masked attendees, and listen to the society's orders. If all went well, they'd leave before anyone knew they were there. If it didn't, they wouldn't leave at all. Ezra adjusted his gold-trimmed mask. "I do love a masquerade." Graves glanced at him. "Try not to enjoy it too much." Ezra winked. "No promises." Then, the gates opened. And they stepped inside. Inside Ravenscourt Manor, 11:30 p.m. The interior of the estate was grand, almost surreal. Candles flickered in massive chandeliers. Walls of rich, blood-red velvet stretched from floor to ceiling. Masked figures moved in eerie silence, their robes gliding across the marble floor. It was like walking through a nightmare. Celine led them through the grand corridor, her movements poised, effortless. At the end of the hall, a massive wooden door loomed. 2 armed guards flanked either side. Celine stepped forward. "Invited guests," she murmured. The guards glanced at her. Then, they nodded. The doors swung open. And the team stepped into the lion's den. The inner chamber, 11:35 p.m. A massive hall stretched before them. At the center, a raised dais. A single chair stood at the top, draped in black silk. Empty. Yet someone was speaking. A deep voice filled the chamber, calm, commanding, utterly inhuman. "The time is nearly upon us." Eleanor tensed. Graves' eyes scanned the room. Jonathan whispered, "Where is he?" The voice continued. "Tomorrow, the first blood is spilled. Tomorrow, London begins its fall." Then, a shadow moved. A figure emerged from the darkness, draped in black and crimson robes. His face hidden behind a mask of smooth silver. And Graves knew instantly. This was him. The Crimson Lord. The true master of the order. The voice lowered. "The first name on our list," the masked man turned slowly, "is Alistair Graves." Chapter 11, The Crimson Lord's Order. Ravenscourt Manor, the inner chamber, 11:37 p.m. The air in the chamber tightened, thick with an unseen weight, as the Crimson Lord's voice echoed through the hall. "The first name on our list is Alistair Graves." From their position near the back of the gathering, Graves and his team remained motionless. The sea of masked figures surrounding them did the same, silent, faceless specters of the Ashen Key Society. The only sound was the soft flickering of hundreds of candle flames, casting twisted shadows across the room. Graves exhaled slowly. Beneath his black masquerade mask, his mind worked at lightning speed. They were deep inside enemy territory. The society's highest leaders were gathered here. And now, the man orchestrating London's downfall had spoken his name aloud. Jonathan Whitmore, standing just behind him, stiffened. His voice was a whisper, sharp with panic. "Tell me that wasn't what I think it was." Eleanor Blackwood's grip on her hidden dagger tightened. Ezra Renwick, ever the rogue, exhaled slowly. "Well. That's unfortunate." Celine Vale, standing at their side, murmured, "We need to leave. Now." But Graves didn't move. Not yet. Instead, he focused on the figure standing at the top of the dais. The Crimson Lord. And the way he had said his name. Not as a target, but as a warning. The Crimson Lord lifted his hands. Immediately, the entire chamber fell silent. Then, his voice darkened. The man known as Alistair Graves has stolen from us. He has defied our society. And yet. A pause. He still lives. A ripple of unease moved through the room. Eleanor's jaw tightened. Ezra muttered, "I do not like where this is going." Jonathan whispered. "I never like where this is going." The Crimson Lord took a step forward. Graves has proven himself a man of skill. Of calculation. Of resourcefulness. But most of all, a slight pause. He is a man of survival. Another silence. Then, the words that changed everything. "And that is why he will be given a choice." Graves stilled. Eleanor inhaled sharply. Jonathan froze. "Oh no." Ezra's smirk faded. "Oh no." Celine tensed. Graves, whatever he's about to say. The Crimson Lord's next words sent a chill through the hall. "If Alistair Graves is found and taken alive, he will be offered the chance to return to us." Eleanor nearly dropped her glass. What? Graves' mind raced. He had expected a death sentence. Not an invitation. The Crimson Lord turned, addressing the gathering of masked elites. "He was one of us once. He can be one of us again. But if he refuses," the Lord's tone darkened. "He dies." Jonathan muttered, "I hate when they add that part." Ezra tilted his head. "Well. That's new." Celine exhaled sharply. "They're trying to turn you." Eleanor's hands curled into fists. "They want him to come back." Graves' lips curled slightly. "Or they want me trapped." And now, he had less than 5 days to figure out which. Ezra cleared his throat. "Well. As fun as this has been, I suggest we leave before we die." Eleanor nodded. "Agreed." Celine grabbed Graves' wrist. "There's a servant's passage behind the columns. It'll take us outside." Graves hesitated. One last glance at the Crimson Lord. The man stood still, masked and unreadable. But Graves knew that he knew. Even if they left this place alive, the society was already hunting them. 5 days. Then the assassinations would begin. Then the city would burn. Graves exhaled. "Fine." They turned, and vanished into the shadows. Renwick's safe house, 2:15 a.m. The moment they were inside the safe house, Eleanor spun on Graves. "You're not considering it." Graves raised an eyebrow. "Considering what?" "Going back to them." Jonathan groaned. "Yes, please tell me we haven't spent the last 2 months nearly dying for you to go back to the people trying to murder us." Ezra chuckled. "I would find it amusingly ironic." Graves sighed. "I'm not going back." Jonathan exhaled. "Thank God." Graves leaned back against the table. "But that doesn't mean I can't pretend to." Silence. Ezra smirked. "Oh. Oh. Now that is interesting." Eleanor frowned. "No." Graves turned toward her. "Eleanor. No. We just barely escaped. And now you want to go back." Graves' gaze softened. "If I make them believe I'm considering their offer, they might drop their guard." He looked at Ezra. "Which gives us time to dismantle them from the inside." Ezra grinned. "Graves, this is utterly insane." Graves smirked. "I know." Jonathan sighed. "This isn't going to work." Graves lifted his glass. Eleanor muttered, "I hate you." Graves chuckled. "You'll get over it." Eleanor exhaled sharply. "Fine. You want to infiltrate them?" We need a way in. Graves tilted his head. And I assume you have an idea? Eleanor nodded. We use Thorne. Ezra whistled. Now that's risky. Jonathan groaned. That's suicidal. Eleanor's eyes gleamed. Then let's make it count. Graves grinned. Then we find Thorne. And we make him believe I want to come home.
Every mystery leaves a mark. And the next case is already unfolding. If you enjoyed the story, subscribe, like, and share. There are more secrets waiting to be uncovered. Join us in the next chapter of A Study in Secrets.